it is day 12 of this block. We're calling it normal. We're going to do some floor press today, hit some back work. Going to be a pretty cool conversations we're going to have here. But if you are watching this stuff, if there's any way that you could just hit like, subscribe, any of that stuff at all, really helps my channel out. This block is considered to be what I think is a normal block. My main thing is getting myself back to normal, back to where I was, pre-injury. And then also I just want to showcase what normal training can look like, what a normal garage gym may look like, normal equipment, normal stuff like that. So helps me out a ton if you guys do any of that stuff, kind of just helps move that forward. So that way I can reach more people that are just kind of looking for more of that style content that is more, normal garage setup, normal lifting, normal programming, nothing too crazy, and stuff like that. So other than that, let's just get into the video and see what happens. Woo! Easy. All right. Ain't too bad. Got 195 on the bar. Last week we did 185 for 3 sets of 8. So I just kind of figured we'll throw 5 on each side, kind of see how it goes. First set in, yeah, these are phenomenal already. Moved exactly how I want them to move. So we're gonna do just 2 more sets of this. Then we're pretty much gonna hit some back, do what we need to do there. That's pretty much it. So it's gonna be more of I think like a boring training day for sure. A lot of my back days are just meant to get in some more volume, the things that I'm lacking back-wise. So I think that the stronger your back is, honestly, just the better chance you have of all 3 of your lifts going up. So obviously we still need to do the other 3 lifts, do different things and whatever, but I think as a whole, if we can make our back as strong as we can get it, I think that puts us in a way better what do I want to say? Just a better physical state for sure to handle the weight that we need to. When we think about it, we don't use our back to bench, but we do use it to stabilize us on bench. We do use it, we'll bring the bar out where we're setting our lats. We're using that, we can't push with the front if we're not stable in the back. Things aren't together where they need to be in the back. So stronger we can get our back on back, or stronger of a back we can get, even upper back, like let's say more specifically, our bench will go up. Deadlifts, we're gonna use a ton of lats, ton of lats, a ton of lower back erectors. We are using our lats and deadlift to basically lock the bar in place. And we're using our lower back obviously for parts of the lift. Squat as well, lower back. We're using our upper back to set our back, to hold the weight on. We're basically using our back for all of these lifts to keep our back where it needs to be, neutral, stable, all that stuff. So that's why I like to have a day that's just dedicated mostly to back. Now we threw in some bench work. We threw in like the floor press and stuff because the way that my hybrid schedule is working, the way my hybrid schedule works, I was not able to, if the days fell just right, or technically just wrong, there'd be a week where I'd bench once, There'd be another week where in that week I'd bench twice. So I saw a hole, wanted to fill it. So now what we have is a pretty good plan to where we're hitting lower twice within the week. We're benching between 3 and 4 times per week because we're doing a bench day, a lower day, a back day that we tack on bench, and then a bench day, and a lower, and then bench and back, and then back. So the intensity is going to be a lot less on here than what it's going to be when it's our main bench day. We're not trying to produce a bunch of fatigue here. I'm not trying to be sore going into my main bench days, whether that be, you know, my actual main comp day, you know, a secondary, tertiary movement day, anything like that. So I just want to carry fatigue, just want to get some more volume in, stuff like that. Now I still want to work hard. I still want to work at it. I still want to pick movements that fit different things, you know, that can help weak points and stuff like that, but also that are things that are very limited, and how we do, and you know, the amount that we can do, and that's like the biggest thing is finding the movements there that fit right, you know, that can fix some weaknesses and stuff like that. So now for bench, my weakness is not lockout. My weakness is not that halfway point to lockout even. My weakness is about an inch off my chest. So with that said, like, is floor press going to help my weak point there? No, but is this a good way that I can limit the load while still being semi-intense, we're still keeping it RP 7 to 8. Yeah, like this is perfect for that. And this is still a very similar movement pattern. Because no matter what, I still have to bring this weight out like I would on bench. I do have to bring it down, I do pause, and I do press. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's get to that real quick. And honestly, like, talked about it before, but let's do it. Yeah, I think too. Talked about it before with about rest periods and stuff like that. You know, we shouldn't need just this long amount of recovery of in between sets. You know, now if we're talking main movements, we're hitting heavy squats, we're hitting heavy singles, doubles, triples, whatever. Fine, I understand it, I get it. You know. I don't get taking 20 minutes between sets. Don't understand that. Honestly, probably never will. But I do. There's a part of me that I do understand. You know, taking 5 minutes. You have the time for it, for sure. But we don't have the time for that. So, what I'd like to do here is 2 minutes is my average, okay, for rest periods. Now, with that said, that means that there could be times where the rest period is a little longer. You know, maybe we push our rest period to 3 minutes because we're doing a heavier compound lift. We kind of need that extra, you know, just to catch our breath. But and sometimes for a lot of these accessories, and you know, as the workout progresses, then we're going to use less and less of a rest period in between sets. So, I'm gonna use some chalk. My hand got real clammy. But yeah, like, you know, I don't think we need to have these long, drawn out rest periods where, you know, it's gonna last us, or you know, or it takes us 6 minutes between sets to do a floor press. That's not what the goal is here. We are trying to get ourselves acclimated to be able to hit lifts, and sometimes that means hitting lifts one after the other. Now, I'm not saying we need to do every minute on the minute. I'm not saying 30-second rest periods, but if we're having a hard time being able to hit the next set and recover quick enough, and we can't do it, I feel like when it comes to something like a floor press, a Larson press, even a lot of our back offs on like bench, for me personally, the way that I view it, even squat, deadlift, if we can't get there in 2 minutes at all, like we're not even close, we have a conditioning problem, and we need to be pushing rest. We could do like rest pause sets to help. We could maybe do some cardio to help, some GPP. Like from West Side, that can help. Like we need to be doing some stuff like that then, if that's truly where we're at here. So, So, you know, that's just like how I view it. Now I could be absolutely dead wrong, for sure. I don't see it that way. I don't think that I am. I see it as like what, because I'm not like, you know, if we're just doing this to do it, then fine. But if we're doing this to compete, I feel like we got to make a big effort to be in shape of when we compete, you know, and sometimes that means that like we need to go pretty back to back, you know, on some of our lifts. And so I've competed twice now, so I don't have like the perfect gauge on it. I'm not saying that, but in that time I've seen a lot of different things when it comes to time in between my attempts. The time between warming up and my openers, you know, and honestly, the time between my openers and second was different than my second and third attempts. You know what I mean? So I needed to be, in my head, prepared enough to, if I didn't have enough time, or I didn't have the same amount of time as my opener, as I do from going from my second to third. I want to be able to like handle that, and it not to be like the deciding factor, or you know, if anything, then having a little bit of extra time in between, because a lot of times too, even you know, going from second to third, sometimes it's a little longer in between those attempts. You know, sometimes it's gonna be shorter because guys maybe they don't take their third. You know, maybe they got hurt in their second. Maybe they just decide they're not going to. They failed their second. They don't want to take it again. You know, whatever it is. And honestly, we think about it in that aspect, we have 5 guys in front of us, 4 of them failed the lift on a deadlift, and they can't pull it off the floor. Well, that's a lot of time that's like now gone. You know, instead of a guy grinding out a single for, you know, 5 seconds, and then, you know, letting the bar back down, looking at like all that, he goes and tries to pull, can't get off the floor, he walks away. You know, so your time's getting cut, or your time's going up because everybody before you has grinder sets and stuff like that. So a lot of it is going to be dependent on that. So I wanted to be able to adapt to whatever it was. I wanted to be able to, if I needed to, in between attempts, and I only got 2 minutes, then I only got 2 minutes. If I got 5, then I got 5. If I got 10, then I got 10. You know, I wanted to be able to adapt. And I couldn't, the only way that I can rationalize in my head is my training needs to be treated to almost like the quickest would be in between attempts. Like, you know, I'm firing set after set after set. That way, if I come to a meet and it takes longer, then my body has more time to recover. I'm not going to get cold. I'm not going to get stale. But if anything, you know, if I'm so used to 2 minutes in between sets, hard sets, top sets, though, back to back offs and back offs to back offs, whatever, then I should be well adapted and way better off doing for sets of 5 or 5 minutes. Sorry, for doing 5 minutes. So that's my thoughts, at least. But been wrong before. All right. So let me write all my stuff down here. But I want to explain these as well. So, I learned this from Stuart McGill and Brian Carroll from a video from a very long time ago for them. And if you don't know, Brian Carroll has one of the heaviest squats ever. It's like 1306, I think, 1301 or something like that. So out there it was to say 1,300-pound squat. He injured his back years prior to that. And I can't fully remember what his injuries were. I think he had some vertebrae damage from disc, whatever. But he kind of found some things and then worked with Dr. Stuart McGill on some back problems or whatever, and they came up with different things. They have a book. It's called like The Gift of Injury, I believe, if I'm right there. But it's good. It's a good book. So the way that they look at things, I think is very interesting. It makes sense, you know. And I don't remember the context of why, but it worked for me in a different context, so I liked it a lot. But instead of doing a normal dead hang pull up, where you just pull up, down, whatever, you kind of have like this reset in between each rep instead, to where you have to reset yourself the same way you would like a normal compound lift. So in my head that makes sense because I'm able to reset on squat, deadlift, and bench in a sense. Does not mean that I need to like get down and walk away from the bar, but it means that I can, put my feet down, set my back, and then pull up. So, because what I'm trying to do, what my goal with these is explosive power, and not so much just focus on the lats. At least for this particular exercise, and at least for me in specific. So instead of grab it on and then just like picking my feet up, hanging here, and then just doing some pull-ups. For some reason, doing a lot of dead hangs hurts the front of my shoulders real bad. I don't know, I'm probably tight. I need to do some more mobility for sure. But I like a lot of aspects of this. These don't hurt my shoulders because my arms are not hanging with my body weight, for one. For two, I feel more explosive with this, and I can really focus on becoming more explosive on this as well. So a lot of these, a lot of things can be limited to different factors or whatever. This is limited solely to my explosive power that I can generate from my back. So what I do, again, pick this up from Brian Carroll and Stuart McGill in a video discussing this, but instead of hanging and just doing some pull-ups, what I can do here is keep my feet on the floor. I can basically set my back as if I was doing a bench, so like shoulder blades backing down a bit, pull everything nice and tight. And what I'm focused on doing is almost like bringing my chest up a little bit, and I just want to explode myself, like my chest to the bar, come back down, reset, do it again. So we grab the bar, we get up here, we set our back, and explode. Explode. So I don't know. I feel this better. Feels more where I need it to be, and I feel like this just checks off a lot of things that I need done. You know, this kind of really helps in a lot of areas that I'm trying to accomplish. All right. Definitely just forgot to turn the camera to record the first set of these, but should do some back raises. I've been toying around with the idea of these, of doing these instead of a good morning. Instead, what I did was, instead of good mornings, I did axle, but I still want to do these in some capacity. So, yeah, threw them in today. We're gonna see how they kind of go. Did one set with this, with just just the bars, 55 pounds, which I still think is pretty decent to have on my back to be able to do a back raise for. So, the back of this thing was coming up. This is not really the sturdiest back extension on the planet. So, yeah, I'd like to get a better one, but we just kind of make do with what we got. So, again, I think I'm trying my best to just to show and be just very upfront about or just more open about the fact, like, this to me, this is just like a normal like home gym, what it looks like, or what it probably needs to look like or should look like for a lot of people. So this is just a gym in my garage. I bought a lot of this stuff secondhand. I've got a lot of good deals on things, whatever. Like, for instance, bought this SSB on Facebook Marketplace. Great find. Got it for $150. When I showed up, it was I thought it was just a guy selling to me, out of his garage gym. It ended up being a gym that's closing down. So I ended up getting the bar. I ended up getting this rack. I got a pile box, and then I also got a Nordic curl, stand, whatever you want to call it, machine. I got that as well, and I think I paid $160 for all of it. So a lot of the stuff is just kind of secondhand. It's reused. It's bought secondhand, whatever. I don't care. Doesn't bother me. I feel like a lot of people, out there may actually have some better setups, some things that work, better for them if they ban the idea of, if I have a home gym, then I must have a rogue gym. Just go with what you got. Go with what you can get. Go with whatever that is. Just because you have a budget on your gym doesn't mean that that's like a bad thing, or it's not a negative. You can have all the money in the world and still have a budget for your home gym setup. You still want to, and still not want to blow $300 on a bar, you'll use once a week. So I've been wanting an SSB bar for a very long time. Titan ones are $300 and up compared to the Rogues, Elite FTS, all that stuff. So I had to wait, and found a lot for $250. Then finally saw one for I think $175. I told the dude I'd give him $150 and I'd come get it that day. He said, "Yep, absolutely." And like I said, showed up, and it ended up being more. So yeah. But it doesn't really matter too much what the equipment is. You can kind of make do with what you got, in a way. Yeah, would it be super cool to have another back extension? Yeah. Will I get it one day? Yeah, probably. But for right now, this is great, man. It's 45 degrees. I'm able to hit the range of motion I want to. Just put a plate on it. I won't fall over. It'll be all right. But yeah, we're just trying to make do with what we got. It's the biggest thing. So. All right, so pretty good. Haven't done a back raise weighted in that way, you know. It's a lot of a different load. Having it basically with an SSB bar, being on the back of your neck almost. So a lot different than, you know, holding plates here, you know, a dumbbell, whatever. A lot different. So definitely like the way that loads, at least for now. Really digging that. So success there. Good move, good movement. Maybe next week we'll do her again. See how it goes. If it goes well enough, then maybe we'll start tacking on a little bit of weight here and there for it. It's gonna be the last exercise we're gonna do. We're gonna do 2 more sets of this. That feels really good, you know. Really like chest supported rows, whether dumbbell, barbell, it doesn't matter. I think the carryover for all 3 lifts, the same as like doing pull-ups, just general back work, is a lot. If anything, this helps our bench. This helps our squat, because what we were doing, we were squeezing at the top, basically setting our back in a similar position as we would on a bench or a squat. So just able to hold more load, a little bit better endurance. And then get some biceps just to get our arms just a little bigger, just to handle bench. But yeah, but I think to a lot of people that lift might be a little controversial or hot take, but I hate biceps. I hate doing biceps. I think biceps are one of the worst things to do. They're extremely annoying to me. It's almost annoying to me the amount of time that people put into curls. But I mean, I'm very much guilty of, if there's something that I skip in the workout, it's curls. I hate them. You know, as a powerlifter, there's not a ton of point for me to do it other than to make my arms bigger, to bench. So I ain't gonna have my dead, my squat, my bench inherently. So I'm not using my biceps for any of those lifts. You know, none of them's being activated to lift any weight. So don't really care for curls at all. Hate doing them. Not a lot of fun. You know, having an arm day in there just is not fun to me. Other than the fact that I will just spam the crap out of triceps, and then hit 1 or 2 bicep exercises in the meantime. So other than that, hate hate curls, waste of time in my head. But other than the fact that I just need, if I make my arm bigger, I'm just putting more meat around my elbows, around my shoulders. When I am down on my bottom of my bench, it does put a little bit more meat on to help just have a stronger arm. You know, I said it before in videos, but I saw a guy talk about forearm strengths and when it comes to straps and stuff, and his point was like, well, I've never seen a guy with big arms and small forearms. And I was like, that's a good point. You know, if you got big biceps, triceps, your forearms have to be big. So there is an aspect too of doing biceps. It's just like, I just generally make my arm bigger. You know, it'll make my forearms a little bigger because I'm handling the weight, holding the weight. You know, as I'm coming up with my curl, I'm not curling, I'm not twisting my wrist, or I am, or what, this, that, whatever. So it does help in those aspects. Other than that, hate biceps. I think it's stupid. I think it's a stupid exercise for powerlifting, personally. Yeah, I don't know. Don't like biceps. The other thing too that always drove me crazy about biceps is it's the way that I think about it is that if I watch other people's lifts, you know, I watch their workouts, whatever, guys that, and I, in my opinion, overly focus on bicep training. It's almost crazy and comical to me the amount of effort people will put in to finding like a bicep exercise that works and hits this and hits that and does this and does that. But then their unwillingness to put the same effort into squats or deads or bench. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, some of these exercises are great. Doing this like incline, like hanging bicep curl, yeah, I got from somebody. But I mean, the amount of variation in a lot of people's trainings when it comes to biceps, when they are simply trying to get stronger as powerlifters, is just crazy to me. Now, bodybuilding, fine. You know, I assume a lot of these guys do a lot of different bicep exercises because maybe that's what their biceps need. They're lacking in biceps, they want to get bigger ones to be on stage. Fine. But like, to watch a powerlifter come up with 10 different variations to throw in a week of bicep curls, it doesn't add up in my head. You know, like a lot of my variations are going to be when I do curls on a cable machine, I'm doing a straight bar, and if I do another one in the day, it's just going to be a rope. It's going to be the same thing. I'm curling the weight up. You know, I might throw in something like this. That's about it. You know, I might do an easy curl bar, some dumbbell curls, hammer curls, whatever. But I've watched people do concentration spider, hammer curls, you know, ISO hold with one while we do, you know, a reverse grip into like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. The amount of effort that some of these people will put into bicep training, but won't put into their squat training, their deadlift, their bench, whatever. You know, a lot of people will argue that having variation within your main movements is wrong, doesn't help, but we need to have a ton of variation in our bicep training. Just doesn't add up in my head, doesn't make a ton of sense, seems almost useless. But that's my rant on biceps. Will not be the last time I rant about biceps, that's for sure. But Whew. Well, man. Something else too I want to talk about when it comes to these chest supported rows. So, if you watch any of my videos, I do dumbbell chest supported rows, and I also will go on a different back day and do more of a barbell style, like chest supported row, to try and get myself as close to like a chest supported T-bar row as I can. Now, granted, I can't get the same range of motion because I had to put in the bottom of this bench. We're making do with what we got. I think we're doing well. I think we're doing good with that. But I think that there's 1,000 ways to do a chest supported row when it comes to, where you grip, whether you're doing a bar or dumbbells or whatever. So when I am doing rows, I can do a lot of different things. So I can keep the dumbbells and I can turn the dumbbells, like here, let me grab some stuff actually. Let me grab a lighter weight. I'm gonna move the camera here just to get a good view of it here. So when I'm doing these, what I can do is a lot of things. So I can keep my grip more like neutral, to where these dumbbells are more like a 45-degree angle, like pointed, almost like the head's pointed towards each other. And I can just keep it nice and tight, and I can row here, right? And that's gonna hit a lot more lats than it's going to anything else. And I can focus on spreading apart my shoulder blades, and then on the way up, I can focus on squeezing them together. That's gonna hit a lot of things in our mid-back that are gonna control our shoulder blades. Obviously, if we are moving them, squeezing them, we're going to do any muscle that's going to control that as well, as long as we focus on using those to move the weight, right? And then on our way back down, we're focusing on letting our shoulder blades glide apart in the stretch, training like bodybuilders when it comes to these style movements. Or what I can do is keep my grip extremely, facing, dumbbells facing forward, and keep it real nice and tight. Just focus on a good lat stretch here, and squeezing the lats up here, and almost like not really allowing my shoulder blades to move, apart and then squeezing back together. It's not the focus here. The focus is getting a good stretch in the lats, bringing it forward. And what happens is these dumbbells come a little lower, almost like to my hips, almost as if you're doing just like a dumbbell row, like a dumbbell row on like a bench. Or what I can do is I can turn these dumbbells out like this, and then keep basically break at my elbows, and keep the weight nice and high, and do something like this. And what this is gonna hit is a lot of traps, rear delts, stuff like that. Now, there's a lot of variations and stuff that you can do with these. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I don't think that there's one solid way to do these. I don't think that there's a way that's better. I don't think that there's going to be one size fits all. I don't think that, we need to only do them this way, whatever. I think we can hit this stuff kind of however we want. And honestly, what I like to do is to progress it in one way. And so like right now, we're just keeping more of a neutral grip. We're focusing on our shoulder blades going apart, and then like on the way back up, we're squeezing our shoulder blades back together as well. That way I'm mimicking everything I want in my main movements for me right now when it comes to training. So what I'm trying to mimic is setting my back, setting myself in position, stuff like that. And even with the deadlift, it's a little different. We're not pinching our shoulder blades, like back and together, because that's just gonna make our arms shorter. We're extending ourselves. We're getting a good stretch. We're keeping our arms nice and long. We're almost like pulling our shoulder blades apart and then down, and keeping that position to have longer arms. So like it works that as well in my head. But having the control of being able to move my shoulder blades together and down or apart and down, or just to have the ability to have them move is key. I hurt my back a few years ago, right in between like my spine and shoulder blade. So since, because of that, I have a problem with my right shoulder blade. Like when it glides and when it moves, it doesn't quite want to do it the same as the other one. It's a little stiffer is what I can feel, especially when I'm on bench and I'm trying to set my back. I'm trying to set everything. This one just feels like it's like slightly rotated in a different orientation. So this helps me really focus on fixing that problem and getting my shoulder blades to work and with each other. So we can hit this any way we want. I don't think there's a wrong way to do it. Same thing with the same thing with curls. In a way, I don't know if there's a wrong way that we can be doing it, as long as we're switching it up. And I don't think week to week. I think block to block, month to month style thing. So as long as we're switching our grip we're going from a neutral grip to a pronated grip to a supinated grip to a this grip to that to whatever, I think is what we need to do. Like that's kind of the focus there. Same thing with our main movements. Do I think that like incline is like the go-to for everything? Like, no. Does it help me my bench right now? Yeah. Do I think there's a wrong way to do the incline? Not really. As long as we're doing the incline, if it becomes stale, we can switch it up. Like if my incline becomes stale, I can't switch it up. I can do close grip incline. I can really focus on doing a dumbbell incline. I have enough bars here that I could do axe bar incline, Swiss bar incline. Having that variety, I think, helps a ton because it breaks through stagnation, staleness, plateaus, stuff like that. So, yeah, when it comes to that stuff, I don't think there's a wrong way to do it. Really don't. We're gonna have our grip how we want, set it, try it, see how it does, see where you're sore the next day type of thing, see if you're improving here, if you have more control there, and then go from there. And then make changes as you go. Then the next block, try it a different way. Try and keep the dumbbells real tight to you and real low. See how you get a good lat stretch out of that. See how well you can start to control your lats to contract and to release and to contract and release. Try that out. Try different things. But other than that, that's pretty much all I got. I'm pretty much gonna ramble the rest of the day if I continue. But pretty good training day. Pretty boring. Nothing too crazy. Again, I'm not trying to be in here for 2 hours. And I'm not trying to hammer out 15 different exercises. So we got to train again tomorrow. And tomorrow is our main pec focus bench day. So it's going to be a lot of incline bench. We got incline, we got a guillotine press, we got dumbbell flies. We're just focusing really on our pecs on this bench. It's my weak point. It's what we're doing. So that's pretty much it. Still don't know how to end these, so it's going to end pretty abruptly.